How's it hanging, people? The name's Pcuspard, and let's talk video games. I recently got a PS3 so I could play that broken copy of Sonic 06 that I have for no reason. Let's give this baby a play!
Ugh, for the last time, I am not your baby! So stop freaking calling me that, it's just wrong!
Doc, you've got to help me, I'm hearing voices in my head! The Neptunia franchise, where anime versions of all your favorite game consoles come to life and duke it out for virtual supremacy. The Neptunia series started out on the PS3 in 2011, and the first game reeked. But eventually, after making the games good, the Neptunia series eventually became Idea Factory and Compile Art's mascot series. You know, like Sega with Sonic or Konami with Failure. Like most spin-off games in the series, these companies often outsource to other developers to help develop their games. You know, like Tamsoft, who's known for developing the Senna and Kagura games, actually helped in developing Neptunia U Action Unleashed and Blonde plus Neptune vs. Zombies on the Vita. However, for whatever reason, Idea Factory and Compile Art decided to make the trek to Canada to have newbie artisan studios do most of the developing for their first multi-platform Neptunia and the first Neptunia game on the Switch, Super Neptunia RPG. Now you may be asking,
Pcuspard, why would they do that? That doesn't sound too smart.
Beats the fuck out of me! I guess they thought that everyone starts somewhere. However, ultimately leaving the task to them would cause some trouble for the two companies, as when the game initially released in Japan, folks weren't all too happy with how the game came out, as apparently it was quite buggy. So Idea Factory and Compile Art sent artisan studios to bed, grounding them for the weekend, and developed a patch to make it less buggy on consoles and PC. Unfortunately, this delayed the game even more. Was it all worth it for their first time on a Nintendo console? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. The game starts with the protagonist of the game, Neptune, waking up with no memory of who she is aside from her name, pretty much only being pulled along into the story after being asked for her 2D game tax by members of Pcuspard.
It's the IRS! Give us Pac-Man, we're getting the chair! I'm not going back to jail!
Eventually, Neptune runs into Chrome, a member of the resistance against Pcuspard, who tax the public for their games, and if they can't pay up, they're sent to the Mad King to drive them mad. The group's leader, Philin, seems to take quite an intrigue in Chrome. So after she chooses to side with Chrome and the Resistance, Neptune joins up and is given the tome Histoire, who's said to be able to locate who Neptune's comrades are. Eventually she ends up meeting the blonde gamer girl Queen, Vert, who's freeloading with the Resistance, as well as Blonde and Noir. You actually meet up with Noir and Blonde first, but you know me, Vert takes up all priority. Turn on the lights. All of whom are in a similar situation to Neptune. And so, after taking the goddess challenge after awakening Histoire, while diving into a pretty sweet Persona reference,
I am thou art I.
the four realize that they are the CPUs who should be leading game industry, and that this villain and her three musketeers have taken over, and as such, the CPUs work together to defeat her and set things right. As a whole, without spoiling anything, the game's story is pretty sweet. Being a spin-off game like this, the story of the game is completely separated from the normal Neptunia continuity. The story in these games are almost never the focus, as the focus is more so on character interaction and charm related to references to gaming. Thankfully, that's all here. Neptune still as quirky and lazy as ever, Noir still as focused as humanly possible, alongside her side cosplaying hobby, which eventually leads her to sleepwalking as cosplay. That's weird as shit. Blonde gets some standout moments, namely with her chemistry with Noir, and that scene in Blonde's mind where they were interacting left me in stitches. And you know me, anytime I see Best Girl in her natural habitat is nice. Turn on the lights. Not to mention the new characters we have are also quite nice as well, and they don't steal too much focus away from the main four, since this is the first major spin-off game since Hyper Devotion Noir to not feature the CPU candidate so as to not bloat the cast of characters. Now for the game portion of this game. Does this game blow past every other Neptunia game in the series and strive for true greatness that can only be done on next-gen hardware? No! Now, the game's not bad in my opinion, but let's dig into it. The gameplay is split between overworld exploration and real-time combat and battles. On the overworld, since we're exploring in a 2D plane from a side-scroller perspective, you're able to jump, attack enemies to initiate a fight, and air dash too. Just call me Mega Man Net, why don't you? Fighting for everlasting pudding! Also, alongside normal currency, you can collect magic stones in the overworld throughout challenges, to get a set amount in a certain amount of time to buy various items credits can't get you. I like these. I've always been interested in the idea of a Neptunia platformer, so all things considered, I enjoy these parts of the game. Plus, while normally these games with a map like this make it easy to get lost, the map you have actually makes it pretty short, simple, and straight to the point. I'm all down for that. Now let's get into combat, where the real meat and potatoes lies. Instead of the typical turn-based combat in the main series, Super Neptunia RPG decides to be a real-time RPG. You have 4 party members out on the field with their attacking set to the face buttons. You can access the items on the menu with plus, and check on an enemy's weakness and strengths with minus. Not to mention, you can equip certain attacks or skills depending on which position the CPUs are in, including various formations focusing on different effects, like physical damage, special damage, spells to buff partners and debuff enemies, or for healing. Your attacks require AP, which builds up over the course of the battle, though you can speed up the process at the chance of losing your turn. Plus, each attack you face builds up your goddess gauge to activate HDD, while each attack you deal builds up your break gauge to do a break attack, like the EXE drives of the normal games. On one hand, this kind of chaos is so much fun to see in action. On the other hand, it's chaos! When you get it down to a science, holy heck, it's so satisfying to play. Through that chaos gives me a sense that I had control. I had the power. Let's have fun. Doggo Jello, anyone? However, it can easily get out of hand. Not to mention all of the frame skipping. Yeah, considering Artisan Studios is a pretty greenhorn company, they don't really have a whole ton of experience. So while the game looks and sounds nice a lot of the time, menus just pop up with no form of transition, not even music, not to mention the frame skipping that can be seen when ending battles. Thankfully, Idea Factory wanted to sell this game, so they released a day 1 patch to make the game run better, though it didn't fix all of the issues with the game's presentation. And then Idea Factory and Compiler released another update to make the game better. Good on you guys. As a whole, I still really enjoy Super Neptunia RPG. And while I wish Artisan Studios the best, I really hope they code better in the future. I'm willing to cut some slack considering this is their first game. However, considering this was done in a game in Idea Factory's mascot series, I'd rather not see them develop another game in the Neptunia series, at least for a while. I've seen the game get mostly 7s or 6 out of 10s, and to be honest, I think that's a perfectly fair rating. The game's not bad at all, in fact it's really good, though I'm glad they decided to iron out some of the technical kinks. So go ahead and tell me what you thought about Super Neptunia RPG, and let's forget about that PS3, she was an asshole anyway. A complete tsundere. Let's play some Sega Genesis instead.
Your mommy doesn't like you!